Chosen one, let's go deeper, because what is happening right now cannot be rushed. This moment demands stillness, awareness, and reverence. December 20th carries weight, and the reason you feel it so strongly is because your spirit recognizes what your logic is still catching up to. There have been days when you questioned whether your consistency mattered, whether your prayers echoed into silence, whether choosing integrity over shortcuts was foolish. You smiled in public while carrying private exhaustion. You reassured others while secretly wondering when someone would reassure you. And yet, through every season of confusion, heaven never misfiled your name. God never confused your patience for weakness. God never mistook your quiet endurance for lack of faith. This day stands as evidence that obedience ages well, that faith compounds over time, and that nothing surrendered to God is ever lost. It is only delayed until the return becomes undeniable. What you endured was not random suffering. It was refinement. Every closed door forced you to develop discernment. Every delay trained your emotional muscles. Every disappointment stretched your capacity so the blessing wouldn't crush you when it arrived. There were things you begged God for years ago that, if given then, would have overwhelmed you, distracted you, or exposed you prematurely. You didn't know it at the time, but God was protecting the promise from you until you became stable enough to steward it. And now, on December 20th, that protection transforms into presentation. What was hidden is now unveiled. What was guarded is now granted. You may notice something different about yourself lately. Your reactions have changed. Your tolerance for chaos has dropped. Your appetite for shallow connections has faded. That is not isolation, that is preparation. Heaven has been reorganizing your internal world because external increase always follows internal order. The miracle payment does not arrive into confusion. It arrives into alignment. This is why things that once distracted you no longer satisfy you. This is why you've been craving clarity, peace, and simplicity more than noise and validation. God was cleaning the room before bringing the gift, and let's talk honestly about what this payment represents, because it is deeply personal. This is repayment for the nights you went to sleep heavy, but still chose hope the next morning. This is payment for forgiving people who never apologized. For staying honest when dishonesty would have been easier. For trusting God when evidence was missing. For walking away from opportunities that felt good but weren't God. Heaven honors restraint. Heaven rewards obedience that costs something. You weren't just patient. You were faithful under pressure. And pressure produces proof. Understand this clearly. What is being released now could not have been blocked even if someone tried. No person, no delay, no system, no misunderstanding had the authority to cancel what God authorized. The reason it feels sudden is because heaven works quietly until it doesn't. The paperwork has been signed spiritually. The release is already in motion. What you see next will look natural, but it will feel supernatural. And when it arrives, there will be no confusion about the source. You won't have to convince yourself this was God. Your spirit will know immediately. This miracle payment restores more than finances. It restores dignity. It restores confidence. It restores your belief in yourself. It gives you room to breathe again. It removes survival decisions and replaces them with intentional ones. You will notice your mind slowing down, your nervous system calming, your prayers shifting from desperation to gratitude. That is how you know provision has matured. This isn't reckless overflow. This is stable supply. Some of what you lost was unfair. Some of what you gave was never returned. Some of what you built was destroyed by people who benefited from your labor and then walked away. God saw all of it. Heaven did not miss a single detail. This payment is not God being nice, it is God being just. December 20th is a settlement date, a spiritual closing of accounts. a balancing of scales. What life mishandled, God now corrects. Do not be surprised if the channel through which this arrives makes no logical sense. God often chooses unexpected routes so pride cannot take credit and fear cannot interfere. This is why you couldn't plan it. This is why you couldn't control it. This is why it feels like it's coming out of nowhere, because it is coming from beyond you. When it arrives, your only response will be humility, gratitude, and awe, and let's pause to honor what you survived emotionally. The tears you cried when no one was watching were not weakness. They were evidence of depth. The pain you carried silently did not disappear. It accumulated value. Pain becomes interest when faith refuses to quit. Your invisible investments are now returning visible results. Nothing you endured was wasted. Not one tear. Not one lonely decision. Not one moment of choosing faith over fear. This season proves something powerful. Silence never meant absence. Waiting never meant wasted time. Delay never meant denial. December 20th reveals how intentional God has always been. You weren't late. You weren't forgotten. You are being prepared for a level of provision that requires maturity, discernment, and restraint. And now you're ready. Your identity is shifting. You are no longer introduced by what you lack. You are no longer defined by what went wrong. Shame loosens its grip. Comparison loses relevance. You are stepping into recognition, not because you demanded it, but because endurance always attracts honor. Heaven is spotlighting what you carried quietly. What happens next may feel fast. Years of stagnation can collapse into days of movement. This is divine acceleration. This is time responding to obedience. Prepare for sudden clarity, unexpected doors, and conversations that shift your trajectory. When God accelerates, He does it completely. This blessing will not stay hidden. People will notice. Not because you announce it, but because peace is visible. Stability speaks. Provision shows. And you won't need to defend or explain anything. The evidence will speak for itself. Peace is part of the payment. Mental rest is included. Anxiety about the future loosens. You begin to plan again, not from fear, but from confidence. Provision becomes predictable. Rest becomes natural. This is what sustained blessing feels like, and this doesn't stop with you. What God gives you spills outward into family, into environments, into generations. This is legacy provision. God never blesses in isolation. Overflow is intentional. Now you understand why it couldn't happen earlier. Why the delay mattered. Why the pressure shaped you. December 20th is not late, it is perfect. This is the moment questions get answered without words. God's response is clear. I was always here. This day becomes a reference point. A before and after. A memory your faith returns to when future challenges arise. Proof that God finishes what He starts. Evidence that waiting with integrity is never foolish. Chosen one, the miracle payment has arrived. No reversal. No delay. No misplacement. Heaven has released it. Earth must respond. Walk forward lighter, steadier, and certain, because what you carried prepared you for what you now receive. Chosen one, as we move deeper into this moment, understand that what is unfolding now is not just an event, it is a transition of identity. Something subtle yet powerful has already shifted inside you. You may not have all the external evidence yet, but internally, there is a quiet knowing rising up, a calm certainty replacing the constant mental noise that once followed you everywhere. That is because provision doesn't first show up in the bank account, it shows up in the nervous system. When God releases a miracle payment, peace is the first deposit. The frantic thinking slows. The fear-based decisions lose urgency. You begin responding instead of reacting. This inner stillness is not emptiness, it is stability forming. Heaven always settles the heart before it settles the hands. For a long time, you lived in anticipation mixed with disappointment. You learned how to hope carefully. You learned how to expect without fully expecting, because expecting fully hurt too much when nothing happened. But God has been gently rewiring that survival mindset. The reason you feel emotionally tired lately is not because you are weak, it's because you are outgrowing endurance mode. Survival requires constant alertness. Establishment allows rest. And now rest is becoming possible for you. Not forced rest. Not shut down. But the kind of rest that comes from knowing you are no longer fighting tomorrow alone. There were seasons when you carried responsibility far heavier than your capacity at the time. You had to be strong early. You had to mature fast. You learned discipline through necessity, not choice. And while others were experimenting, failing loudly, and being rescued, you were learning restraint, self-control, and wisdom the hard way. Heaven took note of that. Early strength always qualifies a person for later trust. This is why the miracle payment is not reckless or temporary. God is not just giving you relief. He is granting you responsibility with resources. You are being trusted now, Let's talk about why this blessing feels different from anything you imagined before. In the past, you wanted provision to escape pressure. Now, provision is arriving to support purpose. That shift matters. When money comes to rescue, it creates dependency. When money comes to partner with maturity, it creates expansion. God waited until your motives were purified, until your desires matured, until you no longer needed abundance to prove your worth. Now abundance can flow without becoming your identity. You are no longer trying to be seen, you are being supported. You might notice that old fears are surfacing briefly, almost like they are trying one last time to regain control. Thoughts like, what if this doesn't last? What if I lose it again? What if something goes wrong? That is not intuition, that is residue. It is the echo of past instability trying to survive in a new environment. Don't fight those thoughts aggressively. Let them pass gently. They don't belong where you are going. Stability silences fear naturally. The more consistent provision becomes, the quieter anxiety grows. This miracle payment also brings clarity of direction. When survival dominated your life, you couldn't afford to think long-term. You made decisions based on urgency, not vision. But now, your mind is being freed to plan, to build, to imagine again. Ideas you buried because they felt unrealistic will resurface. Desires you postponed because they seemed irresponsible will return with wisdom attached. God is restoring your ability to dream, this time without desperation. Vision feels different when fear is no longer driving it. Be prepared for emotional release in unexpected moments. You may find yourself crying without knowing exactly why, or laughing suddenly at how heavy things used to feel. That's because your body is processing safety. When you live under pressure for too long, your system forgets what peace feels like. As stability arrives, your body relearns calm. This is healing, not weakness. This is your soul adjusting to a new environment. Let it happen. You will also notice changes in your conversations. You'll speak with more confidence, less explanation. You'll stop over-justifying your choices. You won't feel the need to convince others of your value or direction. When provision becomes consistent, approval becomes unnecessary. This is not arrogance, it is grounding. You finally feel supported enough to stand still, and here's something important. Not everyone will celebrate this shift. Some people were comfortable with the version of you that struggled quietly, needed less, and asked for nothing. Your stability may confront their insecurity. Your peace may expose their chaos. This is not your responsibility to manage. You are not required to shrink to make others comfortable. Blessing sometimes reveals who is attached to your limitation, not your growth. Let distance happen without guilt. This payment also carries a lesson in discernment. You will be more selective, not fearful, but wise. You won't rush into commitments out of lack. You won't accept conditions that cost you peace. When you know provision flows, you don't cling, you choose. This is one of the greatest gifts of abundance. Freedom of choice. As days move forward from December 20th, you'll begin to mark time differently. You'll reference things as before this and after this. Not dramatically, but honestly. Because something fundamental has changed. You're no longer hoping something will work out. You're building from a place where it already has. Faith shifts from begging to stewarding. Prayer shifts from asking to thinking. This miracle payment is also teaching you trust, not blind trust, but grounded trust. Trust that God knows when to intervene. Trust that silence doesn't mean absence. Trust that waiting produces capacity. This lesson will stay with you long after the blessing settles. It becomes part of your spiritual backbone. And finally, understand this. This is not the peak. This is the foundation. God is not giving you everything at once. He is establishing flow, sustainable flow, repeatable provision, reliable support. What begins here continues forward. You are stepping into a season where obedience is met with reinforcement, where faith is met with evidence, and where consistency produces momentum. Chosen one, breathe. You don't have to brace yourself anymore. You don't have to prepare for loss. You don't have to stay alert for collapse. You are allowed to receive without fear. You are allowed to enjoy stability without suspicion. The miracle payment didn't just arrive to change your circumstances, it arrived to change how you live inside them. Chosen one, as this season continues to unfold, it becomes clear that what God is doing now is not just adding to your life. It is repositioning you within it. Provision changes where you stand, how you are seen, and what you are trusted with. And with repositioning comes visibility. Not the kind you chased in the past, and not the kind that feeds ego, but the kind that naturally happens when stability produces consistency and consistency produces credibility. People will begin to notice how grounded you are, how calm you sound, how certain your decisions feel. This isn't performance, it's fruit. And fruit always attracts attention. Visibility can feel uncomfortable at first, especially when you spent years being overlooked or misunderstood. There were seasons when you would have given anything to be seen, validated, or acknowledged. Now that recognition is beginning to find you. It arrives differently than you imagined. It's quieter, more respectful, less chaotic. This is because you no longer need applause to feel secure. God waited until your identity was anchored before allowing others to notice what He had already confirmed. Recognition before readiness can ruin a person. Recognition after refinement can elevate them. With this new visibility comes influence. Influence doesn't always mean a platform. It means your words carry weight. Your presence shifts rooms. Your advice is sought. People sense wisdom in you because it was earned through experience, not theory. You don't speak from ideas anymore. You speak from endurance. And that kind of authority cannot be faked. God is positioning you as someone others trust, not because you claim to know everything, but because you've lived through enough to discern what matters. This is also the season where stewardship becomes more important than excitement. The miracle payment brings opportunity, but opportunity requires wisdom to manage. God is watching how you handle stability, not just how you handled struggle. You've already proven you can be faithful with little. Now heaven observes how you steward increase. Stewardship isn't about fear or control. It's about alignment. You will feel an inner nudge toward structure, planning, and intentional choices. This isn't restriction, it's maturity. You may notice that your priorities are shifting again. Things that once felt urgent will no longer demand your attention. You won't feel pressured to say yes to everything. You'll become comfortable with silence, pause, and reflection. This is because abundance removes urgency. When you're no longer chasing survival, you can choose sustainability. This shift will protect what God has given you. Some opportunities will look good, but feel wrong. Others will feel right even if they look small. Trust that discernment. The miracle payment sharpens your intuition. You are more sensitive now to what drains you versus what builds you. Protect that awareness. Not every open door is yours. Some are invitations to distraction. God is training you to recognize the difference. Leadership begins here, not necessarily in title, but in example. People will watch how you move through this season, how you handle peace, how you respond to provision, how you treat others when you no longer need them. Character is most visible when pressure lifts, and you are carrying yourself with quiet integrity. That speaks louder than any announcement. You may also feel a growing responsibility toward others, not from obligation, but from overflow. Compassion deepens when you're no longer consumed by your own survival. You'll want to help, guide, uplift, but you'll do it wisely now. You won't rescue at the cost of yourself. You won't overextend to prove kindness. You understand now that healthy generosity has boundaries. God blesses you to overflow, not to empty yourself again. Spiritually, this season invites protection. Not fear-based protection, but awareness. Gratitude becomes a shield. Consistency becomes armor. Staying grounded keeps your perspective clear. You don't need to announce everything God is doing. Some blessings are protected by silence. Some growth happens best without commentary. Let God defend what He has built. Your prayer life will change again. Less pleading, more listening, less urgency, more alignment. You'll notice yourself asking better questions, not when or how, but what do you want me to build with this? That is the prayer of someone who has crossed from survival into stewardship. Heaven responds differently to that posture. There may still be moments of disbelief, times when you look around and think, is this really my life now? That's normal. Transition takes time. Identity shifts lag behind circumstance changes. Be patient with yourself. You don't have to fully understand this season to live in it well. Just stay present. Stay grateful. Stay grounded. This is also where your past finally finds meaning. What you endured becomes context, not trauma. Your story gains coherence. You begin to see how every delay, every loss, every quiet decision shaped you into someone capable of holding stability without losing humility. Nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. Your preparation was precise. As you continue forward from December 20th, remember this. God didn't just change your circumstances, He expanded your capacity. You are not the same person who prayed those desperate prayers. You are stronger, wiser, calmer, and more discerning. That growth is part of the miracle payment. The blessing didn't arrive alone, it arrived with maturity attached. Chosen one, this season marks the beginning of consistent progress, not dramatic swings. You are building now, not scrambling. Establishing, not surviving. Leading, not reacting. Let this settle in your spirit. You don't have to rush. You don't have to prove anything. You are supported, positioned, and prepared. Chosen one, this phase of the journey is where everything begins to settle into permanence. What once felt fragile now feels rooted. What once required constant effort now flows with less resistance. This is not because life has suddenly become perfect, but because you have been established. Establishment is different from excitement. Excitement is loud and temporary. Establishment is quiet and lasting. God is not building a moment for you, He is building a structure. And structures are designed to hold weight over time. This is where long-term security begins to take shape in your life. Security is not just having enough, it's knowing you won't suddenly lose everything if one thing goes wrong. That fear used to follow you everywhere. Even during good moments, part of you stayed guarded, waiting for the fall. But now, consistency is replacing volatility. Patterns are replacing panic. You are learning what it feels like to trust the ground beneath your feet. This doesn't make you careless, it makes you confident. Confidence grows when provision proves itself reliable. Legacy thinking begins here. When survival ends, vision expands. You start thinking beyond immediate needs and begin considering impact. What you build now won't just support you, it will support others. Your decisions carry generational weight. The miracle payment is not only about comfort, it is about continuity. God is setting you up to create something that lasts beyond seasons and circumstances. This may look like financial wisdom, emotional stability, spiritual leadership, or simply becoming the safe place others can depend on. Legacy isn't always loud. Often, it's consistent. Your calling becomes clearer in this season, not louder, but more focused. When pressure consumed you, purpose felt abstract. You were too busy surviving to listen deeply. Now, with stability growing, your inner voice becomes easier to hear. You recognize what energizes you versus what drains you. You become more selective with your time because you understand its value. Purpose thrives in environments of peace. God removed the noise so direction could emerge. One of the most important lessons of this phase is learning how to protect peace as success increases. Peace is no longer something you chase, it's something you guard. You'll find yourself stepping away from unnecessary conflict, declining conversations that feel heavy, and distancing yourself from dynamics that threaten your emotional balance. This is not avoidance, it is wisdom. You've worked too hard to rebuild stability to hand it over to chaos. Protecting peace becomes a form of stewardship. As your life becomes more stable, people may project expectations onto you. Some will assume you're always available. Others may see your strength and forget your humanity. This is where boundaries become essential. Boundaries are not walls, they are frameworks that allow healthy connection without depletion. God does not expect you to carry everyone. He expects you to carry what He assigned to you. Everything else must remain where it belongs. You'll also notice that gratitude deepens in this season. Not performative gratitude, but grounded appreciation. You don't celebrate loudly, you reflect deeply. You notice small things again. Quiet mornings, peaceful decisions, unhurried moments. These are signs of healing. When the nervous system calms, joy becomes subtle but steady. This kind of joy lasts. Spiritually, your relationship with God feels less transactional and more relational. You're not approaching Him only when you need rescue. You're walking with Him daily, sharing thoughts, seeking guidance, expressing gratitude. This closeness is part of the miracle payment. Intimacy increases when fear decreases. You trust Him more now, not because life is easier, but because experience has proven His faithfulness. This season also requires patience, not the painful patience of waiting, but the wise patience of building. You're laying foundations now. Systems, habits, routines, structures that support long-term growth. This kind of patience feels calm, not strained. You're no longer rushing outcomes. You're allowing them to develop naturally. That's maturity speaking. Be mindful not to romanticize the past. Sometimes, when things become stable, the mind tries to revisit old struggles as proof of identity. But your struggle is no longer your story, it's your background. You don't need to return there to feel real. You are allowed to live without constant hardship. Ease does not mean weakness. Peace does not mean laziness. Stability does not mean stagnation. It means growth without trauma. God sustains what He establishes. That is the promise of this phase. What has been built will not collapse overnight. What has been planted will continue to grow. You are not walking on thin ice anymore. You are standing on solid ground. And even when challenges arise, they will not destabilize you the way they once did. You have margin now. Margin emotionally, spiritually, practically. Chosen one, let this truth anchor you. You are no longer just receiving, you are maintaining. That is a powerful shift. Maintenance means consistency. Consistency builds trust. Trust creates expansion. This is how God moves you forward without overwhelming you. As you continue beyond December 20th, allow yourself to settle into this season without guilt. You don't need to apologize for stability. You don't need to explain your peace. You don't need to rush into the next challenge to prove strength. Strength is visible in calm endurance, not constant struggle.